That's for all the kids out there who dream the impossible. You can do it too, man.
A quote by Lewis Hamilton.
That's Sir Lewis Hamilton, and his words are the inspiration behind what we are trying to achieve here.
Welcome to the Podium Perspective, brought to you in association with The Right Track. I'm your host, Uditt.
And I am Moksh. The Right Track is a platform started by us to create and develop an ecosystem to sustainably support motorsports in India. And the Podium Perspective is where we're going to talk about how you people can be a part of this ecosystem and how will it benefit society.
Not to miss out, Moksh, we're also going to talk about how money and resources work differently in this business compared to any other business in the world. And we're also going to have quite a bit of fun. So we're going to start with a drive around the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps on our sims and GT cars. And we're going to talk about our journeys in motorsport and what we're planning to build here.
And at the end of the session, we'll have a 1 lap shootout to see which one of us took the most from this session.
Make sure to check out our website for more updates and to become a part of our community.
Our website also has a fully integrated calendar covering all motorsports events that will help you sort and filter your racing action for the weekend. Oh, and like, subscribe, and share it with your crew. Let's get on with the Podium Perspective. All right, so Uditt, hi. Let's start with what generated your interest in motorsport in the first place. I mean, at what age, कब ये लगा life में कि this is the thing that I can pursue. When did your passion become your career? Can you tell me something about that?
So my passion wanted to become a career right when I came out of high school.
Okay, that's young.
But yeah, but there were a lot of barriers at that point. Starting with I had a commerce background in 11th and 12th. I did not take science for some reason. I don't know, maybe just childishness, whatever. But in hindsight, I feel I did the right thing. Um, I started researching ways I could be a part of the motorsport or the automotive industry. You know, taking the taking the commerce way. Which is like very unorthodox, you'd say, for people who are passionate for motorsport at least.
Yeah.
So it actually became a reality, I'd say, maybe a little over a year ago when I left my job at EY and started working with Uber Motorsports. I
Okay.
helped them organize the Rainforest Challenge,
Okay.
which is an extreme off-roading event, by the way, in
Okay.
Goa.
Oh, that's
And it
nice.
happens, it happens every year around July, so it's going to happen this year as well. So if you're around Goa, if you are in Goa around that time, do happen to drop by and look at what's going on because it is really amazing.
Okay, so let's talk about how you found this opportunity at in Goa. How did you know that there's an opening and how do you fill it? Because you see, motorsport in India is what I feel is sort of not very well aware. People are not aware of how to get into motorsports, what sort of jobs are available. People are confused. So, if you can brief a little on how you found this opportunity and what made you go ahead.
So, of course, motorsport is a very passion-based industry. I mean, anybody who is in the industry is there is there because he has the love for it. It's not that somebody wants to make. I mean, of course, there are people who are in it and understand the financial advantage of it, but
Mm-hmm.
in general, it's just pure passion. When you look at the face of it, of course. But as we go along talking, I will walk you guys through about how there are different ways motorsport contributes to current society, um, financially and otherwise as well. But anyways, so job coming back to the topic, jobs. So, like I said, you have to show that you are passionate about this, at least in the starting phase of your career. You have to be willing to put the hard work. You have to be willing to put in a lot of hours when you might not be paid for the job you do, or you feel that you are underpaid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the majority of the jobs are technical in India. Unfortunately, that is the case. Um, because that's just how the market developed in our country. So mechanical engineers are in abundance, and they usually uh, start working for garages and small teams that take part in big motorsport events like the RFC, which is the biggest off-roading event of India, and other such events that go on in the country. I mean, to be honest, there are I don't know how many such events in off-roading that happen in our country today. And what basically happens is that your team starts participating in these events. Starts getting some reputation. So it starts creating following through Instagram and stuff like that. So teams that become a little successful need people who can handle social media, who can handle their photography, their videography, and stuff like that. So in the normal days, they go look at stuff like people who are in general a photographer, but not somebody who specializes in clicking photographs of cars or motorsports,
Mm-hmm.
because things are completely different. I mean, if you compare taking pictures of a person who's
Yep.
sitting on a chair, it's
Yep.
completely different from hanging outside the window of a car, trying to click a picture of another moving car, which in a case when both of you are going over 100 kilometers an hour. So
Oh,
all
that
those
requires
things,
skill. Yeah.
all this all those things are skills and specializations which teams like these need and
Hmm.
do not have in that much of an abundance in India. So that is a point of entry which people can look at from a social angle. Of course, there is the normal route which people can take. They can go into mechanical engineering, join a garage, start working there, make sure that your garage, you know, is big
Yeah.
enough to be a part of these events, and then be a part of the bigger events as well. And then, of course, you get recognized in the garage for showing ingenuity and creativity in your engineering and design of the car. And of course, to be in the regulations of the event the car is taking part in.
Okay. I
that
mean,
is that is another route. I mean, I can keep going on. There are
yeah.
so many different points of entry at this point, which I'm sorry to say is the state in our country that which many people uh, are not aware of. I'm
I
and
mean,
I'm
yeah,
not
that's
talking
the whole
from an
point.
employee
Right.
side. I'm not
Right.
talking from an employee side. I'm talking from an employer side as well. Like,
Yeah.
there are garages, there are teams that are doing so well, but have no idea about how to handle their social media and how to generate revenue from marketing and social media. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
stuff like that.
Okay. I have a thought. So let's say in countries abroad, not in India, Canada,
Hmm.
people are sort of comfortable and okay working as a mechanic in garages. They don't feel that, ये हमारे मतलब का काम नहीं है या हम इससे ज़्यादा over qualified हैं to do the job. Whereas in motorsport, I personally feel that you have to get down and get your hands dirty at some point, be it in the start of your career or be in the mid of your career. At some point, you have to understand the working of a basic vehicle, like how does it work, how does the engine works, how does the suspension works.
Hmm.
So do you think this
Hmm.
mindset of Indian people that ये काम हम नहीं करेंगे because हम B.Tech हैं या हम we have a pedigree of some sort, so do you think that mindset is limiting the awareness being spread in India in terms of motorsports?
So I feel that this is a loop.
Okay.
This is a total loop. Okay, so why do people think that there is a job in which is like small? I mean,
Yeah.
people go join the merchant navy, in
Yeah.
which you have to literally wash the ship scrub the
Yeah.
ship with your bare hands.
Yeah.
You have to get down on your knees and scrub the ship with a sponge and a brush
Yep.
in the starting phase of your career. That's a
Yep.
very that's I mean, if you want to say that getting your hands dirty, that is getting your hands dirty.
Yep.
But people do not consider that as a limiting factor or a barrier for entry. You know, I feel the barrier for entry in this case is the money that it brings in.
Okay.
So so companies, teams, people not able to maximize on the financial opportunity that the whole ecosystem presents causes like people to believe that ये काम ऐसा है इसमें पैसा नहीं है अब
Hmm.
if the same guy becomes a mechanic, not a mechanic, or somebody who knows how to repair a jet engine,
Yep.
he's also getting his hands dirty. He's also lying down on the ground under the jet and
Yep.
working with grease and spanners and tools. The difference is he's being paid more.
Yep. Yep.
And the difference, as you started off with, people being comfortable with doing all of that in foreign countries is that they charge more. You take an example of okay, you just want to get your engine oil changed, all right?
Yep. Yep.
So apart from the cost of the engine oil, how much does the mechanic charge you?
Uh, just to change the oil, I mean, if you take the cost of the oil itself out, I believe 200,
Yeah,
300 bucks. 400 पे तो I
yeah.
start bargaining कि you know इतना क्या का काम हो गया, you just put the oil in, so yes, which is quite cheap.
You know, which is quite cheap. And if you probably know the guy a little well enough,
Yeah.
he'll probably not even charge you anything, right?
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
But because that's how the environment is in the country. But in foreign countries, things like minimum wages acts and all of that are like so high, so well regulated that you go for an oil change, they will properly print out a bill
Hmm.
which will say something like a service charge, and then it will be taxed as well. So it's gonna be at least 7 to 8 euros, which
Yeah.
is how much it is.
You're right. I mean, it's an organized economy. Everything is organized. You see, back when I went to Dubai in 2019, I learned that in any given circumstance, if a car is met with an accident or has a scratch or has a dent, the car does not go
Yeah.
to a local repair shop. Like local repair shops do not exist for these guys. They simply call
Yeah.
the company comes, takes the car, takes it out of your insurance, gives it a full service, gives it all the checks, the bumper checks, the speed checks, the way the car is supposed to operate.
Mhm.
Like after an accident, it should be like that your car is reaching at the speed of 120 and it's falling apart, which was a
Mhm.
really a good concept to me, that okay, the vehicles on road are actually organized. We don't see vehicles with scratches or dents, and I believe that's a contributing factor to the industry having more revenue, more profit, and more salaries out there.
But with more revenue, more profit, and more salaries, those models work by increasing the costs. So they
Right.
charge more to the consumer, right?
Right.
So, like, you take your insurance on your average hatchback in our country,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How much do you think that could be? That's like a percentage of the cost of the car, right?
Right. Right. Right.
But in foreign countries, the cost of the car is not even a factor. Things like the color of the car, the age of the driver of the car,
Oh,
who all in the family
are gonna drive the
will
vehicle.
drive the car.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's nice.
So things like those are taken into consideration. So if you are a 18-year-old boy,
Mm-hmm.
your insurance is way higher compared to if you are a 32-year-old guy.
Yeah, that's the
for the
difference
same
between
car.
an adult and an 18-year-old who just wants to run his car at high speeds and, race everyone on the highway. Let's go, boys. Let's race. But yeah,
Yeah,
a 32-year
yeah.
old will be matured enough to understand that, okay, I can't push the vehicle. It will, ruin my engine in some way. It will mess
So
my clutch pad. Yeah.
my personal opinion is that I don't actually agree with that model as well.
Okay, why so?
Because I feel that it's it's kind of off-putting. Like, you know, for me to have the same car and somebody who's elder to me to have the same car, I have to pay more just because of insurance. Whereas if it's a percentage of the cost of the car or the value of the car,
Hmm.
then it doesn't matter.
So what are the pros and cons
That's
we face? Like, okay, this was a con that, why do I pay a different amount to the same vehicle I'm driving?
yeah.
And what are some of the pros you think you are like, why did a foreign country agree to this policy?
I mean, those countries just made everything corporate. In
Oh,
India, probably that's
capitalism.
not possible. Yeah, capitalism. That's not probably possible to that extent in India, dude. Like in India, if I have the option to getting my car repaired for $100 versus $1,000, because like most of the times in what happens with insurance in India is that you have to pay some amount as well, right? So if your
Right,
car like the windshield breaks,
right,
so if the car's windshield is insured up to 60%,
right.
so if the windshield costs $7,000, you'll be paying 40% of that 7,000. You'll be paying some amount. But if you go outside and get it done aftermarket, and the aftermarket is still cheaper than that, would you not just get the aftermarket part? Because I mean that's the Indian mentality, you know.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And to change
And
it is a yeah.
there are so many options in the aftermarket industry as well. Like when you have your car, you can just take it to your dealer, right? If you're going to go through the proper channels. But like
Right.
if you want to go to the aftermarket, you, I mean, in Delhi, you just go to Karol Bagh, and there are 1,000 different people who will work on your car, and everyone will be like, not even charging you a tenth of what it would cost you to get it done
Hmm.
through the channels. And when you get it done through the channels, these insurance guys put you through all the headache they can in the
Hmm.
world. That
Yeah,
we
yeah,
don't claim,
yeah,
we don't accept this claim, this didn't happen, this was not your fault, or this was that guy's fault, we're not going to pay for this, his insurance is going to pay for this, my
yeah.
insurance is not going to pay for this, all of that. So you save yourself to go through all of that headache. And then of course when you meet with an accident in India and you I mean it's not a very serious accident,
Hmm.
the scene after that is not about the car, like it's not about insurance at that point. It's about who's going to throw the first punch.
Yeah, yes, that's true, that's true.
You
Yep,
get insurance involved after throwing punches. That's going to
yeah,
get the cops involved, and that's just it. So it's just like things are different in this part of the world. And even if you see Western countries, things are very much like the way they are, where they are in the way they are in India. I mean, I'm keeping aside the big cities like
hmm.
New York City,
Hmm.
I mean, not the New York State. But if you go into rural USA, over there are still people who take their cars to the aftermarket um, repair mechanic or whatever, and they still drive those cars from, back in the 70s and 60s, just keep repairing them, and they still keep going on forever. So it's not a Western thing, it's just a corporate thing. It's just, gives you benefits in the short term, but like of course, like every corporate is like the whole industry, it's called corporate because it's meant to make money, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So in any case, you are not um, you don't have any advantage to yourself. Even if you have convenience, you are paying more for it.
That is true. I mean, this is one of the issues we'll talk in great lengths in the upcoming podcast because I believe that the license system in itself in India, the way that people are learning how to drive, forget racing for now because racing comes after you learn how to drive, right? And the awareness you have in terms of good roads, good like driving sense, and all that stuff, like in Germany they teach you, and get attaining a license in Germany is like throwing like you are so happy after it that you throw a party and you invite your friends and family because it's such a huge deal. They make you go through a lot. They spread more awareness, and I believe that is the reason that they produce some of the best drivers on commercial roads, let's say. uh
Hmm.
okay, so since you are in Italy right now and you see the culture of
Hmm.
motorsport, you have been to the motorsport valley, you move in the group of motorsport people. What
Hmm.
lessons or what activities do you believe we can actually take some ideas out of their books, implement in India, and would practically spread more awareness in terms of how to get into motorsports as a driver, technician, or a management person? What sort of culture do you think we should try and bring to India so that we spread more awareness to young people out there who can actually think about a career in motorsports starting at a very young age?
So before we start thinking about careers, I think we
Hmm.
should talk about the ecosystem. All
Okay,
right.
right. Absolutely.
So to build the ecosystem from bottom up, things that India can implement are like Formula One in schools.
Okay,
That's like that's an initiative by Formula One.
okay,
Um, and in Italy, it's done in collaboration with Delara.
okay. That's
Um,
nice.
what that basically is that school students, basically, high school students from grade 9 to 12th, they form teams of minimum three, if I'm not wrong, and maximum six,
Okay,
right? And they make a car, which is a miniature car, like it's a feet in length maximum.
okay,
Um, if you are watching the stream on YouTube, I'll get a picture to probably pop up sometime around right now. Um, of what I'm talking about. And these cars are propelled by compressed carbon dioxide.
okay,
So they're pretty fast, in fact. And these guys make these cars themselves. In their school, there's a kit that comes. Of course, you have to spend a little, but it's not too much. It's not too much for a school to invest in one kit. And then these guys have to model the aero of the cars, and Dallara offers these children a chance to come to their wind tunnel and test their cars in the wind tunnel and see how their car performs aerodynamically. Because of course, in a car which is propelled by carbon dioxide, being having the least drag coefficient will be the aim, right?
right,
So
right.
I mean, imagine children thinking about all of that at that age,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Having
And
that curiosity, having that, that what's this going on, and we need to learn more. How does a car go faster? Because a fast car excites anybody and everybody, is what I believe. But yes,
it does. But the name of the game is efficiency. It's aerodynamic
right,
efficiency.
right,
It's not making the car going fast. I mean, you strap a bigger engine in it, you put in more carbon dioxide. There are 1,000 different ways of making the car go. But what the world is aiming at right now is making everything more efficient.
right, right,
So those kids, a few of them were brilliant. They were brilliant, and events like those tested not just their engineering capabilities, but their project management abilities, their marketing abilities, because they had to look for sponsors, right? Because they had to wear a race suit. So if they're a six-member team, all six of you have to wear a common uniform, which is your race suit, and your race suit is also given marks for because A nice race
Okay.
suit in Formula One attracts, or in motorsports, attracts more sponsors, and more sponsors means more money, and means more money. More money means you can invest more in the development of the car. So there were a few teams that were able to raise more sponsors, and they were able to buy two kits and then have one kit just for a pure experiment, just as a test car. And those
Okay.
guys, their final car was way better than everybody else's, because these guys, their first prototype was just a test car. I mean, because just because they had more sponsors, and just because of that, they could buy two kits. So everything matters. So I believe in building the whole ecosystem up, even in Formula Student in
Hmm.
India, when
Yes.
they have things like Formula Student, I feel that there should be more importance to rounds like marketing and project management and business
Okay.
plan, uh,
Okay.
rather than just the engineering
The
aspect of it.
technical side of it. Right.
Yeah,
Even I
because
saw that. Yes.
yeah, the technical aspect of it is very important.
Yeah.
But unless and until the whole ecosystem develops, those engineers who are working there and learning there will have nowhere to go to, because the ecosystem will be abroad and not in our country. And
Right. You're
that's what
right. You're
happens.
right.
Everybody moves to UK or Italy or Germany to pursue their careers in automotive or motorsport. And the brightest minds in motorsport today, uh, few of the brightest minds in motorsport today are also Indian. You see the Ferrari, the um, Red Bull, and all of these Formula teams have so many people working on the technical side who are Indian. So it's not that the talent is not there. The talent is
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It's just that opportunities are not there. So
That
unless
is
the whole
true.
ecosystem develops, things won't happen. So I feel for the whole ecosystem to develop, competitions like Formula Student and some small events and competitions in school, which you know have people from the commerce background and the arts background in schools and colleges to also be a part of these teams, and to experience what it is to finally win an event like this, and be a part of a team like this, and understand the whole environment. That will only then will we be able to create the ecosystem in the coming years. Otherwise, it's going to be the same way as it was a few years ago.
Right. So you are in a Formula student team right now, and I believe you're handling the business side of things now. Upon which we would like to, we just had a word. So even I went to IIT Delhi last month, I believe, and I met with the Formula student team. So yeah, they were really pushing it on the technical side. They had a lot of knowledge. All the latest softwares were on their fingertips. But from your point of view, being in a Formula student team and being in the management side of things, how's your experience like? How does your team works? And how does it feel like to be at races, at events, and to win them? If you can brief a little on that.
So I haven't been able to attend any races as of now,
Okay.
because the schedules obviously vary. It's the university's team, and everybody in the team are from different colleges in the university.
Okay.
So I'm a part of the business school, so I have a different schedule from the people who are part of the engineering college, or for whatever. So what happens here is basically people from different departments. So like people from the design department, or people from um, let's say the um, chemistry studies
Right.
department and all of that. They come in and they work on composites, and they work on the design of the car, the structure of the car. And then there are people who are studying automotive design and all of that. They come in to work on the chassis and the way the car will be built in accordance to the regulations. And then the mechanic, of course, there are people from the mechanical department who work on the engine. But then there are different kinds of engines. There's the internal combustion engine and there's the electric engine as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so electric powertrain as well. So, you know, these groups are again people who are working or studying different fields in the university. So it's quite hectic to make the schedule. Of course, I don't make it. Fortunately, somebody else does, and it works out. So but yeah, most of the times the team is there in the garage. They're working on the car. Especially now when the development phase is going on, the car's in the garage and it's being worked on 24/7. Not 24/7, but like at least I'd say 6 hours a day it's worked on. So yeah, um, these guys, most of them uh, go to the garage right after they are done with their classes, and then they stay there till night. A few of them even sleep in the garage in the workshop,
Oh,
and then get ready in the workshop and go to the college directly from there. So things do get hectic, but yes, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, it's a passion. It's a
it's
passion-based
passion.
thing.
It's
So
passion. It's totally passion based.
so if you want if you want to have the sense of excitement, the sense of achievement, and a sense of thrill in your life, right? You'd be a part of
Right.
all of it. If you want to contribute to innovation in society, you'll be a part of this, right?
That's nice. That's nice. That's right. Okay, let's start with which was the first motorsport series that you started following, watching, and how many motorsport series are you indulged in right now? And what do you like about each one of them separately? So let's say IndyCar and Formula E. What do you like about IndyCar, which might not be in Formula E, and what do you think you like about Formula E? So let's start with which was the first motorsport series you started following, and at
All
what
right.
age? And at what age?
So, I was what? Mm, when you say follow, you mean like watching races and all of that,
I mean, like
and
anything,
then
even
keeping
even reading
track.
the results in the newspaper, because I believe when we were young, there were not many motorsport series being streamed on live TV. So some of us used to, go to the newspaper and look for results. Okay, what happened? And internet was just beginning when like we were growing up. So yeah, in any way, which motorsport series?
So when I was young, there used to be this anime which aired on Animax. That time
Okay,
it used to be a channel.
okay,
I don't know if it still exists or not. It was
okay,
called Capeta,
okay. Yeah, I don't know
and
about that
it
one, but
was yeah. So it was a story of this little kid who did not come from a wealthy family,
okay,
but wanted to drive go-karts and wanted to be a race car driver ever since he was a young boy. So
okay,
it showed how he and his father struggled and got a go-kart, and then he goes up into the ranks and eventually ends up into Formula. I don't actually remember where the anime ended up at, but like I remember that there's a scene in the intro song in which he's getting into what can only be described as a Ferrari Formula One car
okay,
of that time. So
okay.
I am sure that he makes it to Formula One at some point in his career. So it was an amazing anime. So I mean
Okay,
that's when I was like, yes. Um, it's not wrong to dream about all of this,
right,
and it is not impossible to be a part of all of this as well.
right, right, right.
Um, I started following Formula One to begin with, um,
Okay,
which was in 2016, if I am not wrong. Um, 2017, sorry, it was in 2017. That was the time when I finally got unrestricted access to television.
Okay.
Yeah,
I understand. Right.
so that's when I started watching Formula One. And yeah, I have grown into watching a little bit of WEC. I watched the last two Le Mans. This
Right.
season, I have watched a few other races in WEC as well
Okay.
as IMSA a little bit. I've been watching a little bit of IndyCar. I started this season watching Formula E. I started watching Formula E off and on last season, and I started watching it much more regularly this season, just because I feel the races this season in Formula E have been very interesting, and
Okay.
more so that now I understand how Formula E is contributing to general society as well. So how developments in Formula E are contributing to general society. So watching that series and seeing how technology is being developed over times, and it just gives you an idea of what to expect from the future in terms of automobiles and mobility and transportation.
Right. I mean, motorsport is not limited to just a bunch of people having passion for, racing cars, going fast and running around a track. There's a lot more that goes behind in the factory of, when they create a vehicle, a lot more in the R&D of figuring new things out, figuring like, right now we are focusing on the hybrid era and we're moving towards a 2030 net zero carbon emission goal. So
Hmm.
these technologies really push the human race forward in terms of innovation, and even that's a factor of motorsports, like which attracts me towards the particular field. That the more and more talented people are more and more aware at a very at the right age, I would say, not a young age, because you can change your career anytime. But at the
Hmm.
right age with the right tools, they can actually push the limits of the commercial vehicles on road by R&D into a Formula One car or a WEC car.
Yes, because when we talk about sustainability in a global sense, not just restricted to motorsports or
Right.
the automotive sector, a majority of percentage of a global, let's say, um, I don't know what the term is, but like in terms of awareness for sustainability, things actually majorly boil down to the supply chain,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Because you have ships, aeroplanes, you know, like fabrics traveling all the way from one part of the world to China so that they can be stitched, and then traveling back to another part of the world so that they can be packaged, and then travel to another part of the world so that they can be sold. You
Right.
know, for let's talk about electric cars, their batteries are, the raw materials are mined in some part of the world, and then it is shipped to some other part of the world where the batteries are made, and then shipped to another part of the world where it is assembled with the car, and then shipped to another part of the world where it is sold. So supply chain today is a very big contributor to global warming and all of that, and people are looking of innovative ways to is that you?
Yep, that's me. I'm just still learning
All
the
right.
track. I learned sector one, sector two pretty fine. So the moment I mess up, I slow down and try again. Oh, that's someone else too
Hmm.
in the mug, but yes.
Yep. So yeah, where was
Yeah,
I? Sorry.
supply chain, right.
Yeah, so when there'll be development in electric mobility technology and
Mm-hmm.
sustainable mobility technology, all of this is also going to be affected. There's going to be global warming is not only going to be affected from automotive sector standpoint, but these developments are going to affect all the sectors across the globe that have any sort of thing to do with supply chain or mobility. Even if you are somebody who has 50 taxis running, your company's personal um, emissions, or like, you know, the amount of emissions that your company generates would go down. If you are a clothing manufacturer, your transportation would generate less and less amount of um, emissions. That will make your your company more and more greener. So it's not only going to affect the automotive sector, but it's going to affect any and every sector that operates on a global scale.
Right. Uh, when we first met, you shared the passion with me that you wanted to be a Formula One driver, right? So,
Yeah.
at what age did that realization kick in? And I believe the reason for you to not pursue being a Formula One driver was the age factor, which is again true in my case because the day I realized that, okay, oh no, I could have been a Formula One driver and I would have pulled a good enough job at it. I was too old for it. So, at what age did you realize that? And let's talk about a good age for
Realize,
a kid to
sorry.
consider, entering into Formula One as a driver. So, four, I believe Max Verstappen was four when he started. Lewis was eight when he started. So, what do you think is a good age in India for a kid to be made well aware of a career option, which is being an athlete and a Formula One driver, and that kid can actually take it up and go on track, practice, eventually become a world champion one day from India. What are your thoughts on that?
So I want to clarify the first question first.
Right,
So you asked me if at what point I realized that I cannot be a driver anymore, or at
right,
what point I realized that I want to be a driver.
right. So when did was the first time you realized you want to be a driver? And I'm pretty sure there was a week duration between you realized maybe I don't know that okay I can't put you I can't pursue this right now. I have to switch to a different sort of industry in motorsports.
So for me to become a driver was like, it was always a dream. I mean, I
Okay,
was always into cars ever since I was probably a kid. I
okay,
was into cars. I could, like, by the time I was 3 4 years old, I could name all the cars on the street by just looking at their headlights and stuff like
all
that.
right, all right. The passion was
So
there. Yes.
passion was always there. I feel um, I was in what, sixth, seventh grade, seventh grade, when I realized that yeah, I don't think this can be a career for me. And it was less to do with me realizing it with age. I mean,
Okay,
yes, I realized it with age that, I can't be this anymore, but it was less to do with my age at that point and more to do
okay.
with the fact that I understood at that point that there isn't enough infrastructure in our country that could
To support
support,
that.
support a medium income family. Um, so a medium income family with something like this, because it is expensive,
Right,
but it is even more expensive in a country like India, where there is no infrastructure. Because
right.
there are other countries where there is infrastructure, so these options do present themselves to kids, and are a possibility to be pursued by, someone who is from a medium income household. Of course, at the top end of the field, it becomes a talking point of who has the most amount of money. But
Mm-hmm.
at a point of entry, it is possible for people who are from a medium income household to be a part of all of this. So yes, I was always sure. I think ever since I gained consciousness as a as a human, I was sure that I want to be driving cars fast somewhere. Um,
Okay.
but Yeah, I think seventh grade was the point when I was like, yes, it is a little hard in India right now. And as far as it goes, that what would be the perfect age for somebody to think about this as a professional career and then make a living out of it? I would say you should be somewhere between 6 to 8 years old. That is what is 6 years. Mm, first grade, is it?
Six, yep,
Second grade?
yep, that's for her second grade. That's right.
Yeah. So at that point, it's like more of the parents' decisions as well. So like
Right,
parents should also look at, if the kid has an inclination towards go-karting and,
right.
in general video games and, he is just good at hand-to-eye coordination with remote control cars. And I mean, that is how Hamilton got identified, right?
Yep, yep, yep. Those are the first few signs. Let's talk more about that. What are the first few signs a parent can actually observe in their kid to consider this as a career? I believe reaction time is something which will
I
top the
mean,
charts.
of course, reaction time. Of course, if your kid loves Disney cars and Fast and the Furious and plays Need for Speed, get him into motorsport. Because otherwise, when he grows up, he's going to be driving fast on the main
Yeah.
road, and that's going to be dangerous.
Repressed feelings of a lost dream. But yes, I get your point. I mean, if you see your kid being slightly interested in, driving around, hand or leg movement, give that kid a cart. Come on, give him a cart. Put him in a cart. Take him to the like your nearest karting ring. And now, and in fact, when we were younger, when we were in that age range, I don't believe that there is like there were many karting rings around, not of that professional level. I mean, for an arcade fun, there were, but not at a professional level. But now I believe in today, Mumbai and Ahmedabad, even Delhi, NCR, Gurgaon, Noida has some good karting rings where you can actually go, put your skills to a test, and just see where you are in terms of understanding a kart and driving it.
Yeah, but I mean, that's at the level when you are personally gaining consciousness and are able to spend that much money and go to a go-karting track and spend, what was it, like 500 rupees for like, I remember $500 for maybe 10 minutes or something like that,
Oh, that was cheap.
right?
Now it's 3,500 or I think 4,000 bucks for 20 minutes of sorts.
Wow.
Yeah,
So yeah, so
inflation. But yes,
that's what's going on. So yes, of course, you have to be willing to spend that much money. Right now, it's not a cheap hobby, but of course, what also isn't a cheap hobby is horse riding,
yeah, yeah.
you know. And of course, people like it, and people do spend money on all of that.
So we
So
sure we
with
sure
the
need to do something about the finances in terms of motorsports in India. Okay.
Yeah, so we just need, I mean, all I feel is people need to understand how to make money around this, and everybody around the ecosystem will also make money, and it will be a win-win situation for everybody. Of course, there is also the matter of legislation, which has to be, kept in mind, but then that comes in at a very later stage.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
what
Uh,
do you think, Moksh?
yep.
Let's talk a little bit about you, I say.
All right. Let's go ahead. Ask away.
What got you into motorsports?
So,
And at what
okay.
point did you think that I'm gonna make a career out of this?
Right. So, okay. So back when I was a kid, I didn't used to really follow any sport. Okay. I was very partially interested in watching cricket matches or football FIFA clubs. But I would proudly say that I'm a Drive to Survive kid. So you can say that Netflix helped me make my career decisions clear. Because when Drive to Survive came on, and I actually watched the documentary and understood that, what goes into the paddock, what goes into the operation of running a car around a circuit fast and winning. More than that, it's about the perfectionist side of each and every team to deliver results on track. And I would say the journey to attain that perfection is what attracted me towards the sport in the first place. Me as a person, I feel that I suffer and succeed with the ambition of like perfect in whatever I do. Sometimes it good,
Hmm.
sometimes it pays off. In my workplace, in my college, it paid off in some projects, but those projects have to be really, I have to be really interested in them to give the output. If I'm not interested in them and I know that I can't deliver my 100% or be perfect, I'll just drop it. So that's the blessing and the curse part of it. So the perfection really attracted me towards it. After which I just went online. I had a gaming laptop at that time. I used to play GT and all that stuff. I installed F1 2020, I believe, and did a few laps around random circuits. At first, you won't
Hmm.
believe I was on a keyboard. I was racing on a keyboard and was trying to understand how the mechanism works.
Yeah, all of us started
Right,
started with a keyboard at
right.
some point.
you
Yeah.
know it was tough, but it really opened my eyes. You see, back when I was a kid and I used to play Need for Speed, I used to enjoy driving recklessly, hitting everyone on the street and doing all sorts of stunts. But when I understood the dynamics of being a driver and learning every corner with precision and being able to deliver that precision in each lap. Let's say there are 15 turns, and all those 15 turns require some sort of different mechanism. You have to brake a little more, brake a little less, throttle in, like the exit throttle is important. So all these factors, once you start learning them, and then once you start giving yourself results, is when I I believe I got addicted to it. At first, I would say, let's take an example that I was around the circuit of Bahrain and I was giving a time lap of 2 minutes around around the circuit. 20 minutes in,
Hmm.
30 minutes in, suffering from the corners, crashing out. I don't know what all was I doing. But after 20 minutes, when I used to compare my times, I was at 1 minute 50 seconds, which is a 10-second improvement from my previous few laps. Now, those results really attracted me towards the sport. Okay, okay, if you can be consistent and if you can improve more, you will go a lot faster. And the faults were evident. The mistakes I was doing on track, every lap going through, let's say turn five, I was like, oh man, I wish I would have braked a little less. Oh man, I wish I would have braked. So you learn. So that constant learning process, which is very evident on the leaderboard, because the stopwatch never lies. This saying in the
Yeah.
sport, the stopwatch never lies, gave me goosebumps because it didn't.
Yeah.
It was very evident how many hours I was putting in. Moving on, let's
Yeah.
say I didn't play the game for 2 weeks and I came back to it. I lost time. I simply lost time. I was back to 2 minutes. So again, consistency was key here. So, all these things coming together in one place really, opened my eyes that, okay, this is something that I can pursue. As a career,
Hmm.
I would say, so I did my bachelor's in IT. We learned a lot of coding, technologies, and all that stuff. And I believe in my second year of engineering, I sort of realized that coding is not for me. I gave it time, I gave it 100 hours to learn the basics of it, but wasn't really to achieve much out of it. So I was just hopping different careers. I went from an IT engineer to a wedding planner. I started my own event planning company. I did a few
Hmm.
businesses here and there. Back in college, I used to run a page on Instagram, your new closet, on which I sold super dry T-shirts to people. So that business aspect was there. More than the business aspect, I believe I was hungry to figure out where do I fit in. I mean, what's my destiny? What's my story? At which field am I gonna be perfect? After watching Drive to Survive, learning how to drive in a F1 game, and realizing that okay, this is something that suits my drive, suits my ambition. I started researching more and more about how to get a job in Formula One. I figured there are all these courses in the UK, technical courses. Then you met I met you, and okay, there's a business aspect to it also. But the fact that I'll be
Yeah.
able to be in the industry, hopefully become an expert in one particular field very soon, and push the boundaries while also achieving the results on and off track, becoming a better person is, for me, it's like the best package, the best deal ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah,
I mean, yes, those are a few qualities that you just brought up that are necessary to be in motorsport.
right.
First, you have to be a perfectionist. You
Yes,
have to be because
absolutely.
there is no other option.
There is none.
No matter what you do, the result is out there with the stopwatch, like you mentioned already, and everything is in front of you. Everything is crystal clear. It's not like you are in the stock market where there is money here, money there. No one
Right.
really knows where the money actually is. You know.
Right. Right.
So things are different here. Things are different here. You have to be a perfectionist. That's one
You
thing.
have to be.
You have to be consistent. That's another very good thing you pointed out. You have to be consistent. And then lastly, you have to be consistent. Sorry, I already mentioned that. Um,
But that
there
is
was another,
important. That is
yeah,
consistency is
that
key.
is,
I mean, you have to remind yourself every day that, you have to be consistent. It's not about doing an activity and doing it weekly, monthly. It's about doing it every day for a brief period of time, but doing it will get you there.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And there was another point, very good point that you mentioned, which is now slipping out of my mind as we currently speak. Um, yeah, maybe I'm focusing a little too much on my lap time. That's
On
the
your
thing.
hot lap, on
Out
your
of
hot
it.
lap. You are fast, man. You are very fast around the Assetto Corsa circuits. But okay,
So
I
there is
believe I
somebody
have
who
improved. I have improved from the moment we started this podcast to now. I can feel the improvement.
I
So
remember now. I remember now. I remember what the last thing was.
okay,
Before you continue,
yes,
the last thing was to always, from a personal aspect and a professional aspect, you should be a person who chases improvement,
right,
who is who never settles. You
right,
have to be that person.
yeah,
You today set a lap time, even if it is the fastest lap time in the world. The next time
yeah.
you are out on the lap, your aim is to be faster than your previous lap.
Strive for
And that is the
improvement.
kind of mentality you have to have, that mentality in your life as well.
Exactly, so like nothing is perfect. I partially believe in that yes, when you're working on a project, let's say your college project, you can always
Yeah.
improve, but there comes a deadline, there comes a date where you have to submit it. So you have to agree on that day that okay, even if it's not perfect in my eyes, I gave it my all and this is the best I could produce. Yet still, I believe that if
Mm-hmm.
you strive for perfection, I believe that process in itself is a very good process to, strive for. Don't just settle down on the fact that, nothing can be perfect. So let's just do whatever we can and be happy with it. When it's time you can actually make a result, you have to push, you have to strike in every project, every relation, every aspect of your life. I believe you have to have that hunger for perfection, even though you don't achieve 100% of it at the end date, at the final date. Like, I'll tell you a story of me. So I was racing in Bahrain back when I switched. I believe no. Yep, I was on a keyboard still. Me and my friend, we both were on keyboards. We were using a split screen setup. We put up an HDMI splitter on my laptop.
Nice.
He had a screen. I had a screen.
Wow.
I could see him racing. He could see me racing on the same screen, but we were focusing on our separate, races. So
Okay.
I put my headphones on because they were like we were talking about it all the time. Oh, what did you do in turn one? Oh, what did you do? So I just put my headphones on. I was like, okay, let's just forget him for now. Let's just forget everything for now and simply focus on
Yeah.
my drive. We started the race. I believe it was 25 to 26 laps. So I'll give you a
Yeah.
brief of what went into my mind during those laps. So the first 5 laps were solely me cursing myself that you fool, why don't you realize that you cannot brake so hard? You have to. So I just started learning the track. Okay, Moksh,
Yeah.
turn one, hard brake right, take a simple left. Okay, go straight. turn three,
Mm.
like this is the Bahrain layout, I believe. Turn three is a very open-handed, a very free, like full throttle right-hander. Then comes turn four, where you have to not slow down much, rely more on the engine braking, or put your gear down. And so, like this, I learned the all 15, 16 turns, memorized it in my mind, lap after lap. It went from first lap, I learned one, two, three. Then I learned one, two, three, four, five, five, six. Then I learned one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, and so on. I believe by lap nine, the entire image of the track was memorized into my brain. That this is how the machine works, and this is the track, and you just have to do this again and again and again. So now lap nine again. I started speaking the same format in my mind as I went on, giving the laps. By turn 15, there was a 1 minute 30 seconds monologue I had in my mind, which used to get reset when I used to cross the finishing line and then restart again. I believe at lap 18, the voices in my head went shut. There was no monologue. I was not forcing myself to remember that, okay, you have to do this. My body, my hands, my legs, braking, everything was in order. Like the way I was sitting was in order and it was all natural. So that oblivion state of my mind, where my mind is shut, I'm not speaking to my mind. I'm just simply driving the car because this is what I've been doing since the last 15, 16 laps. And now all I have to do is keep on driving in an automatic cruise mode. You won't believe I
Yeah,
won the race
yeah.
lapping the person I was racing at the time. I lapped him and I finished the race. And when I got my headphones off, so my headphones had a lot of, I would say, hard rock music on. It was like, so the moment I put my headphones off, these guys, so the guy was racing, and like there was one more friend who was spectating. They went like, they was like, "What did you just do? I mean, how the hell are you so fast?" To which the
Yeah,
only answer I had was that I was only focusing on improving myself. None of the people on the track mattered. None of the AI, nobody mattered. I was just solely focused on driving the best I could. So that oblivious state is what I chase. I believe after that, I've experienced that 4, 5 times now, all in races where I finished P1 and with a very huge margin. Not to be like, narcissist about it, but
hmm,
the day I achieved that self improvement motivation to do so is the day I actually started seeing good results on the board, which again
yeah,
blew my mind, which again, just attracted me to the industry, just made me in a rush. There is a gut feeling inside me that says that, okay, you have a future in motorsports. And I believe that, I just believe it. I don't question it. I don't doubt it. It's very hard to keep faith on certain days because the future ahead is very uncertain, and I believe it's going to be very tough to actually achieve what I've set out to achieve. But right now, the faith is there because the results are there, because that consistency is there, and because that day to day mindset is, growing.
yeah,
So I'm just blown
yeah.
away. I'm just blown away with the entire concept of the engineering, mechanical, business side of motorsport. Everything about motorsports attracts me at the moment. Now, I don't know in which field I'm going to be an expert in. Maybe I'll be an aerodynamist. Maybe I'll be a team principal one day. Maybe I'll be that chief technical officer. I don't know. But I just wish to leave an impact in the industry, spread more awareness in India, and I believe that this is my life's path. This is what I was destined to do, and I feel very grateful and blessed that I had the opportunity to explore which career suits me right. And now finally today I have my answer. The hard work is what remains now. Smart work is all done.
So I'm glad I'm glad you reached that point, and that's what this whole podcast is all
Is
about.
gonna be,
So
yes.
yeah, so we are both, I think, in that frame of mind right now that we want to develop this ecosystem around
Yeah,
motorsport in
yeah,
India. As I mentioned before, how powerful that ecosystem can be.
yeah,
Um, and I'm gonna be talking about it, trying to bring in more and more people to talk
yeah,
about it. You know, people from other countries as well who can, probably give their insights and make us understand um, how every aspect of motorsport is important, not just the technical aspect, and how the ecosystem, then develops and becomes much more meaningful to society than just, the image of um, a few adrenaline junkies breaking the speed barrier, sound barrier.
Yup. Yup.
So that's the aim. That's the aim of this podcast series. As we go on, we'd like to bring in more and more points, aspects of the motorsports, and try to share as much as we know, and of course, get as much knowledge back as well as we can from you guys as well. So of course, you guys can reach out to us at any point. Um, we'll be open with our contact details at least at some channel, I guess. So
All
yeah.
right, guys. So that was the podium perspective. And I believe that me and Udit are here on the right track. You can see him in the GTR up front. And
Yep.
then let's move on to the next lap
Let's
then.
move on. Let's move on to the next lap. And before we end the podcast, let's just go for a fast lap
Yep,
and see
yep.
how much Moksh has improved over the last 22 laps.
I'll
It
be
took him. It
sharing.
took him.
Yep,
Yeah, it took him 18 laps in a Formula One car, as he mentioned before. So 22 laps in a GT3 car are sufficient, I guess,
yep,
Moksh.
yep.
What do you think? So do you
All
want to
right.
be leading when we cross the line?
No, I believe you lead for now because it's clear that you are way better than me. I don't wish to hold you up. But yes, I'll be
It's
posting my lap time when I started the podcast, and I'll be
yeah.
posting my final lap time also.
All right. That's great. But like, I feel you should be the safety car and handle the start so
Okay,
that I
you
have
you you
some
wish to
fun.
overtake me on track, right? I know,
Yeah, I
I
will
know
just.
that feeling. I know that feeling. Just give me a few days, and I won't be able to give you the satisfaction of. I won't allow you the satisfaction of that feeling.
I love that sense of competition, dude. Bring it on. Bring it
Bring
on,
it on.
buddy.
Okay, I went wide right here only, but okay. Let's go. So, a hot lap on the podium perspective.
What's in that Mercedes?
Ah, there he goes. I'm gonna blind you, or at least try to.
Oops.
That was.
At least we still got it.
Yep. Oh no, I don't wish to invalidate.
Don't worry, don't worry. Keep it going, keep it going. Was that you with the yellow flags?
Nope. I believe that's the Merc.
That's- what are these Mercedes guys doing?
So I did a 2 minutes 49. Oh, 2:35. I improved by that's 14 seconds. You see? That's what I'm talking about. I did a 2 minute 49 and now I did a 2 minute
My last
35.
my most recent lap was a 2:29, but
Okay.
it got invalidated at some point, I guess.
Okay. You are not that fast. 6 seconds. I can catch up. I can catch up soon. All right,
Yep.
then, guys. We'll go on to the next lap and see you guys in the next one. Thank you for joining us. This is me and Uday signing off. Take care.
All right. See you guys.